There was a time when PayPal wasn't just a payment app, it was the internet. If you bought something online, you used PayPal. If you sold something online, you accepted PayPal. It became so dominant that millions of people trusted it with their money without thinking twice. And the company behind it created one of the most successful groups of entrepreneurs in history, launching careers that would help build Tesla, LinkedIn, YouTube, Yelp, Palantir, and dozens of billion-dollar companies. By every measure, PayPal had already won. So how does a company that invented online payments lose the internet it helped create? Because PayPal didn't collapse overnight. It lost something far more valuable. It lost its place at the center of the internet, and almost nobody noticed it happening. Today, online shopping is bigger than it's ever been. Digital payments move trillions of dollars every year. More people pay with their phones, watches, and computers than ever before. By every measure, the industry PayPal created has never been healthier. So why is PayPal no longer the company leading it? The answer isn't one bad decision or one new competitor. It's a story of innovation, ambition, and the dangerous assumption that being first meant staying first. This is the rise and slow decline of PayPal. I'm Ahmed, and this is the Money Archives, where every fortune tells a story. Before we dive in, if stories like this fascinate you, make sure to subscribe to the Money Archives and let me know in the comments, which company should we uncover next? To understand why PayPal became one of the most valuable companies in the world, you have to go back to a time when buying something online felt almost reckless. The late 1990s were the wild west of the internet. New websites appeared every day, entrepreneurs believed the web would change everything, and investors poured billions into anything with a .com at the end of its name. But despite all the excitement, one major problem remained unsolved. People didn't trust the internet with their money. Today, buying something online takes just a few seconds. You tap your phone, scan your face, or click a single button, and the transaction is over before you even think about it. Back then, it wasn't nearly that simple. Many shoppers were uncomfortable typing their credit card information into websites they had never heard of. Encryption technology was still developing. Online fraud was a growing concern, and stories about stolen credit cards spread quickly enough to make people think twice before making a purchase. That fear created a bottleneck for the entire internet economy. Businesses could build online stores, but convincing customers to actually complete a purchase was another challenge entirely. Every abandoned shopping cart represented more than a lost sale. It represented a lack of trust. Then there was eBay. What started as a small online auction site was becoming one of the fastest growing marketplaces in the world. Every day, millions of strangers were buying and selling everything from baseball cards to computers. The marketplace was exploding, but paying for those items was surprisingly inconvenient. Buyers often mailed paper checks, sent money orders, or waited days for bank transfers to clear before sellers would ship their products. Transactions that should have taken seconds often stretched into weeks. The internet was growing faster than the financial system supporting it. Whoever could solve that problem wouldn't just build another technology company, they would build the financial infrastructure of the internet itself. And in Silicon Valley, two different startups believed they had the answer. In 1998, two different startups were chasing the same opportunity. One was a small security company called Confinity, founded by Peter Thiel, Max Levchin, and Luke Nosek. Their original idea wasn't to build a payment company at all. They were developing software for handheld devices, but along the way, they stumbled onto something much more valuable, a simple way for people to send money to each other over the internet. Around the same time, another entrepreneur was thinking even bigger. After selling his first company for hundreds of millions of dollars, Elon Musk believed banking itself was outdated. He launched an online financial company called X.com with an ambitious goal: replace traditional banks with a fully digital alternative. Customers could open accounts, transfer money, and manage their finances without ever walking into a branch. At the time, it sounded almost futuristic. Both companies were burning through cash, trying to attract users, and both realized they were fighting the same battle. Instead of continuing an expensive rivalry, they merged in 2000. The combined company eventually abandoned the X.com name and focused entirely on the product that customers loved most: PayPal. What happened next was unlike anything Silicon Valley had seen before. PayPal wasn't just growing, it was becoming the default way to move money online. Millions of new users signed up, merchants embraced the platform, and the company became one of the fastest growing businesses of the .com era. But perhaps PayPal's greatest success wasn't the product itself, it was the people. The company's early employees and founders would go on to reshape the technology industry for decades. Elon Musk used the fortune from PayPal to help build Tesla and SpaceX. Peter Thiel became one of Silicon Valley's most influential investors through Founders Fund and was an early backer of Facebook. Reid Hoffman founded LinkedIn. Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and Jawed Karim launched YouTube. Jeremy Stoppelman created Yelp. David Sachs built Yammer before becoming a prominent investor. Others would help create or fund companies like Palantir, Airbnb, Stripe, and dozens more. Over time, this remarkable network became known as the PayPal Mafia, not because they worked together forever, but because they kept showing up behind some of the biggest technology companies of the next 20 years. Very few startups ever produce one billionaire. PayPal produced an entire generation of them, and while its founders were about to change the future of technology, PayPal itself was about to change the future of money. Good. Next section. Don't be boring, don't be repetitive. I think this is where we really raise the stakes. Up to now, we've shown that PayPal had brilliant founders. Now we need to show that they actually won. The viewer should believe this company is unstoppable. That makes the later decline much more dramatic. In just a few years, PayPal went from an ambitious startup to one of the fastest growing companies on the internet. Its biggest advantage wasn't flashy technology or clever marketing, it was timing. As eBay exploded in popularity, millions of people were buying and selling with complete strangers every single day. Every transaction required trust, and PayPal offered something that was faster, easier, and far more convenient than mailing checks or waiting for bank transfers. Buyers got a simple way to pay. Sellers got paid almost instantly. What had once taken days could now happen in seconds. The more people who used PayPal, the more valuable it became. Sellers preferred buyers who could pay immediately, and buyers preferred sellers who accepted PayPal. Every new user made the platform stronger, creating a powerful network effect that competitors struggled to match. Before long, PayPal wasn't just participating in e-commerce, it was becoming the financial layer that made it work. The company's growth was impossible to ignore. In February 2002, PayPal went public, giving investors a chance to own a piece of what many believed was the future of online finance. Just a few months later, eBay made an even bigger move, acquiring PayPal for approximately $1.5 billion in stock. It wasn't simply buying a payment company, it was buying the engine that powered its marketplace. For eBay, the acquisition solved a problem that had become too important to leave in someone else's hands. For PayPal, it provided access to one of the largest online marketplaces in the world and the resources to keep expanding. Over the next decade, PayPal became almost impossible to avoid. Whether you were shopping for electronics, booking travel, buying collectibles, or paying a small business online, there was a good chance you'd see the familiar yellow PayPal button waiting at checkout. For millions of people, that button meant one thing: trust. You didn't have to hand your credit card information to every website you visited. You could simply log into PayPal, click once, and your payment was complete. It removed friction from online shopping at a time when trust was still one of the internet's biggest obstacles. By the early 2000s, PayPal had processed billions of transactions, expanded into hundreds of markets around the world, and become one of the most recognized financial brands on the internet. From the outside, it looked like the company had done the impossible. It had become the default way to pay online, and that's exactly when the world started changing. I think this is the section where we answer the question the viewer has been waiting for. Okay, but what did PayPal actually do wrong? Instead of listing mistakes, build a case. Show how a series of decisions slowly weakened a company that once seemed untouchable. By the middle of the 2010s, PayPal was still a giant. It had hundreds of millions of active accounts, processed hundreds of billions of dollars in payments each year, and remained one of the most recognizable names in online finance. From the outside, everything looked healthy. Inside the company, however, the pressure was beginning to build. One of PayPal's biggest strengths had always been consumer trust, but as digital payments became more competitive, that trust was no longer enough. Customers expected payments to be instant, effortless, and almost invisible. Merchants wanted lower fees, faster integration, and greater flexibility. Competitors were delivering exactly that. PayPal responded by trying to be everything at once. It expanded into peer-to-peer payments, business lending, cryptocurrency, rewards programs, shopping tools, buy now, pay later, and a growing list of financial services. Some of those investments made sense on their own, but together they began to blur the company's identity. Was PayPal a checkout button, a digital wallet, a bank, a payment processor, an investment platform? Even longtime users weren't always sure. The company's acquisition strategy reflected that uncertainty. Over the years, PayPal spent billions buying companies to strengthen its ecosystem. Some deals added useful technology, but others failed to deliver the growth investors expected. Instead of creating one seamless experience, PayPal increasingly felt like a collection of different products stitched together. Then came another challenge. For years, PayPal benefited from being the default payment option across much of the internet, but many of the world's largest retailers and technology companies no longer wanted to depend on someone else's platform. Amazon built more of its own payment capabilities. Shopify pushed merchants toward Shopify payments. Apple encouraged users to stay inside its own ecosystem. Every major technology company wanted a larger piece of the payment experience. The internet that had once helped PayPal dominate was becoming fragmented. Wall Street began noticing the shift. After years of rapid growth, user expansion slowed. Transaction growth became harder to sustain. Investors who had once valued PayPal like a high-growth technology company started treating it like a mature financial business with limited upside. The stock reflected that change. After reaching record highs during the pandemic, PayPal lost more than 80% of its market value over the following years. Tens of billions of dollars in shareholder value disappeared as investors questioned whether the company that had pioneered digital payments still knew how to lead them. PayPal wasn't collapsing. It was facing something that can be just as dangerous. It was becoming ordinary. For a company that had once defined the future, that may have been the biggest warning sign of all. Good. Next section, don't be boring, don't be repetitive. I like where the story is now because we've explained why PayPal lost momentum. The final section shouldn't feel like, here's what they're doing now. Instead, it should create one last question. Can a company that invented the future reinvent itself again? That leaves viewers thinking even after the video ends. By 2023, it was clear that PayPal needed more than another product launch. It needed a new direction. That year, longtime technology executive Alex Chriss took over as CEO with a difficult assignment: convince customers, merchants, and investors that PayPal could still lead an industry it had once created. The challenge wasn't that people had stopped using PayPal. Far from it. The platform still served hundreds of millions of active accounts across more than 200 markets and processed well over $1 trillion in payment volume each year. Few financial companies could match its global reach. The problem was perception. PayPal had gone from being the company everyone talked about to the company everyone simply expected to work. Meanwhile, competitors were capturing the excitement. Apple was redefining mobile wallets. Stripe had become the preferred infrastructure for startups and developers. Block continued expanding its financial ecosystem, while newer payment methods gave consumers more ways to check out than ever before. PayPal needed to become innovative again, not just reliable. The company began simplifying its products instead of endlessly adding new ones. It redesigned its checkout experience to reduce the number of steps between clicking Buy Now and completing a purchase. It introduced Fastlane, allowing shoppers to check out quickly without repeatedly entering their information, and invested heavily in artificial intelligence to personalize offers, detect fraud more effectively, and help merchants increase sales. Rather than trying to build another digital bank, PayPal shifted its attention back to the problem that made it successful in the first place: making payments faster, easier, and more secure. Whether those efforts will be enough remains an open question. The payments industry is more crowded than ever, and today's leaders aren't standing still. Every year brings new technology, new competitors, and new expectations from consumers. The advantage PayPal once enjoyed has disappeared, replaced by a market where innovation is constant and loyalty is fragile. History shows that companies can lose their edge gradually and sometimes regain it just as unexpectedly. Apple nearly went bankrupt before becoming one of the most valuable companies in history. Microsoft was once considered an aging tech giant before reinventing itself around cloud computing. Even Netflix transformed itself multiple times to survive. So perhaps the real question isn't whether PayPal can survive. It's whether the company that changed how the world pays can once again change where the world is going. Because in business, being first may get you to the top, but staying there is an entirely different challenge. This sets up the outro perfectly. Instead of summarizing the story, the conclusion can zoom out and answer the bigger lesson. PayPal didn't fail because digital payments disappeared. It lost its edge because the future it created refused to stop evolving. That's the emotional takeaway your viewers tend to remember. Good. Next section. Don't be boring. Don't be repetitive. This should be the Money Archives style outro, not a recap, but a reflection. The viewer already knows the story. Now we answer why it matters. There's an irony at the heart of PayPal's story. The company didn't lose because people stopped shopping online. In fact, the opposite happened. E-commerce became one of the biggest industries in history. Digital payments grew from a niche idea into a global market worth trillions of dollars. Every day, billions of transactions move across the internet faster than anyone could have imagined in the late 1990s. The world caught up to PayPal's vision, and then it kept moving. For years, PayPal had the luxury of defining how online payments worked. But once digital payments became essential, every major technology company wanted a piece of the business. Apple, Google, Stripe, Block, Shopify, and dozens of others weren't competing for a small market. They were competing for the future of money itself. The company that once forced everyone else to adapt suddenly found itself adapting to everyone else. That's the risk of being a pioneer. When you're the first to solve a problem, it's easy to believe you'll always have the answer, but success has a way of changing the questions. The strategy that builds an empire isn't always the one that protects it. PayPal is still one of the largest payment companies on Earth. Millions of businesses rely on it. Hundreds of millions of people continue to use it every year. By almost any standard, it's still an incredibly successful company. But that's what makes this story so fascinating. This isn't the story of a company that disappeared. It's the story of a company that changed the world, and then had to compete in the world it created. Whether PayPal becomes a leader again, or simply remains one of many players, is a story that's still being written. But one thing is certain. The next revolution in money won't wait for anyone, not even the company that started it. I'm Ahmed, and this is the Money Archives, where every fortune tells a story. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, and let me know in the comments, which companies rise, fall, or comeback should we uncover next. Until next time, keep following the money.